What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, for a while now, we've been talking about a bunch of rumored projects around Konami potentially returning to the gaming scene in a more grand fashion than just collections. But yesterday, something appeared to have materialized online with a title from the ratings board that could show Nate finally getting his win. We'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about E3 for 2023 as some initial plans have been posted up online. And we'll also be talking about Sega and Atlus, who are kind of strange, and now it looks like they're suing their fans for playing a game that, well, Atlus doesn't support anymore. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're gonna start today with Netflix. Well, Netflix and a new gaming studio that they are starting up. We can see this posted up over on their website, where they say, "Today, I'm excited to announce that we are establishing an internal game studio in Helsinki, Finland, with Marco Listica as the studio director. This is another step in our vision to build a world-class games studio that will bring a variety of delightful and deeply engaging original games, with no ads and no in-app purchases to our hundreds of millions of members around the world." I wanted to emphasize no ads and no in-app purchases, since that comes up a lot now with new games that are being created, especially at this scale. I mean, this is Netflix. This is from their VP of Game Studios, so them starting a studio from scratch rather than buy different studios, which they already have purchased a couple of them, but this will be their first time at starting one from scratch. I'm not really sure what kind of direction they're going to go with their studios. I mean, they can create anything. It's pretty clear they're just trying to add more value to their overall subscription service, especially after seeing Microsoft go all in on the idea of game subscription with Game Pass. So it'll be a bit, probably several years before we see anything coming out of this new studio, but it is interesting to see Netflix continue to invest more and more in the gaming side as we've gone along. Also, Grounded is finally leaving early access today. We have reviews that dropped yesterday. We can see this posted up over on Metacritic. They only have like 13 reviews right now, but it's sitting at an 81, and they've had quite a while, that being Obsidian, in early access working with the community to essentially build and fix up this game. And as I mentioned, 13 reviews, 12 positive, 1 mixed. We have the high of a 90 at Windows Central, all the way down to a 70 at Games Radar. And I'll admit, I've not played Grounded at all. Like, I've seen it in Game Pass when you scroll by it, and I've heard people talk about it. It's kind of like the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and the Backyard, and people were making a big deal about spiders, and there was like a spider mode just in case you are afraid of spiders, or change them into different shapes and stuff. I mean, at least that is creative, but it never really like clicked with me. Let me know if I should be checking out Grounded now that it is officially out of early access and in its 1.0.0 version. Oh, and over TGS, we did have a strange announcement when it came to Resident Evil 4 Remake, and that is that there will be a PlayStation 4 version. No mention of an Xbox One version for the game, but we can see this posted up by Idle Sloth, noticing that the Xbox One Resident Evil 4 Remake was posted up on Amazon UK, and we do see things typically go up on Amazon ahead of an official announcement. And then we have Dusk Golem, who says, "I'm not going to say too much, but Capcom have chosen to be a bit weird with console stuff, Resident Evil Village, and now RE4. Just for the record, RE4 was always planned for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, PC. Just how they announce it publicly is a bit bizarre." Yeah, they kind of acted like that PS4 announcement was this big thing. I mean, a lot of us were kind of excited that we were seeing this as a, well, next-gen only game, although we're about to be 2 years into this generation. I feel like we can call it current gen now, right? But I saw some people have a bit of wind taken out of their sails with that PS4 announcement, and when we see it announced, I assume here for the Xbox One at some point, that might kind of get people a little disappointed too. But I think RE4 Remake is going to be very good, especially with what we've seen from RE2 and RE3 with that RE engine. I think you're going to see some very impressive stuff wherever it releases with the RE4 next year. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Konami. I desperately want Konami to return to what they were back in like the PS2 and the PS1 era, when they were just firing on all cylinders. We're getting some very good Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania games on like the PS1, but we were getting a lot of good stuff out of that company. Games, not pachinko machines. There have been a lot of rumors around them returning to form, with several of their intellectual properties seeing releases, which even includes a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. We'll see about that one. But Silent Hill has come up so many times now, and we really haven't seen a lot materialize from this, despite, a paper trail of rumors. Well, now it looks like we're starting to see some stuff move a bit here in the background. We can see posted up over on Gamatsu, where we have from the Korean ratings board, Silent Hill, the short message. Now, this has the publisher listed as Uniana, and this is mentioned as a publisher for Konami in Korea for eFootball 2023. So, wow, I guess they're going to try that one again with eFootball. Good luck with that. But this seems typical to have that publisher. Some were wondering if this could have been something more related to a pachinko machine because of the publisher type and all of this, but based on the code that was pointed out, it does look like it's going to be on game consoles. Nothing listed here, however, and that could be for a few reasons. The first one being, we heard that there were some talks potentially between Sony and Konami for one of their projects. This being titled Silent Hill, the short message, could be pointing towards maybe a demo similar to like how we had PT. See, because as far as I can tell, trying to just gather up all of the rumors over the last, year or so, there's like 3 or 4 different Silent Hill projects allegedly in development. Bloober Team is doing Silent Hill 2 remake. Annapurna is working to publish like an episodic series of Silent Hill from different developers. And then there's another Silent Hill game that's an original one that's in development, and people are even arguing over as to who is handling that. It could be at Sony with Konami kind of handing off licensing and all this, or even just at Konami themselves. And it's possible that short message could be related to that one. I don't really know why we would need a small demo for a Silent Hill 2 remake, but that's kind of what I'm expecting here, is to have some sort of demo drop as the short message that would then lead into the big Silent Hill release potentially next year. Here's the thing though, is where would they announce this? Because if it's now been rated in Korea, typically we'll see these ratings go up and then a month, maybe a little longer, we see it announced and then released. So I'm kind of wondering if this is setting us up for a Sony PlayStation showcase, as that's where a lot of the rumors are tied to currently, is that Sony has some sort of hand in one of these projects. Could be this one, and we've heard talks about Spider-Man 2 potentially having some sort of like a trailer or something being played here as we get into October, and you start to kind of line up all the pieces for maybe not even just a state of play, but something a little larger than that from PlayStation, and this could be one of their third-party reveals with a new Silent Hill game, and then there's a demo that drops. But something to keep your eye out here for, because it seems like MVG came back at the right time. Nate's been talking a bit more about this. Might be finally time for that Silent Hill reveal and Nate to get his win. Next up, let's talk about The Last of Us. Yesterday was, well, usually it was called Outbreak Day, then they changed it to The Last of Us Day after everything happened with COVID. It seemed like they had to change the name. Anyway, it's typically a day where we get some sort of news around The Last of Us. A lot of times it hasn't been big. It's been like a merchandise drop. Like, people are hoping we would have seen something with a game, like factions, maybe a new piece of concept art. But no, instead, they gave us a look at the show coming to HBO Max next year. There was an entire trailer, and they also posted this up over on Twitter. They say, "Save Who You Can Save," the HBO original series The Last of Us, is coming in 2023 to HBO Max. And this, and then veer off in different parts, because I thought about this a little bit. I'm like, do I really need to see the game that I just played through with the remake again? Do I need to see that acted out just on HBO Max? Not really. I would prefer them to take inspiration from the game, but then create their own overall take on what happened during The Last of Us. And I think Pedro Pascal is, I think he's a good Joel. I'm unsure about Ellie, and the person they cast for Ellie is just kind of throwing me off a little bit, but you can always win me over. The whole series, I think, is going to be good. Just from the minute and a half we've seen here, it looks high quality, and it's on HBO Max, so I'll just kind of tune in and check it out there. But I am looking forward to seeing what they have for us with The Last of Us next year, and let me know what you thought of the trailer down below. Next up, let's talk about Atlus and Sega. Two companies who are very strange, especially when it comes to their business decisions for games and where they go and which platform and all of this. But yesterday, some news came to light that Atlus is actually suing fans. Yeah, take a look at this. This is over on VGC, which they did a very good job, by the way, getting a ton of information together throughout the day and kind of putting it all into one spot here. But they say Atlus is suing fans who hosted their own servers for the long-closed MMO Shin Megami Tensei Imagine Online. As spotted by Twitter user Marsh, the lawsuit was first filed in December 2021, but has recently progressed to the point where defendants behind unofficial fan servers have been summoned to appear in court. So I had no idea this was a thing, by the way. That I didn't even know there was a Shin Megami Tensei MMO. It closed down in 2016, ran for almost a decade, but after it was shut down, fans got together and said, well, we like the game, we would want to play it more. So what do? Well, they do what really has happened to a lot of legacy MMOs or online games. Private servers go up and people connect and play just like they did when official servers were up before 2016. It's only one problem. Atlus does not seem very happy about this, and they have just gone straight to suing people. Now, apparently there are 3 different parties involved here. There's Reimagine, Rikuimu, and Comp Hack. 2 that were named Comp Hack and Rikuimu. Otherwise, though, Reimagine is just shutting down. They saw this happen, and they're like, you know, we're getting out of the way here. This was in a Discord message that was posted up here by Devil Summoner, where they say, we were recently informed that one of our competitors was served a court filing and that Atlus is currently seeking legal action against them and the Compact team. While Reimagine hasn't been served any sort of notice that we know of, Atlus's decision to outright sue instead of issue a cease and desist has made us worry about the safety of the users who helped keep the game alive. They went on a bit further. Just to clarify, they haven't been taking any donations. There's no Patreon. There's nothing set up here where money would exchange hands or people would be able to put money into a pot to kind of hold the servers up, because that is something that can be pointed to by any company. It's like, hey, you're taking money for our property, so we don't want this up. Not the case here, though. And in fact, Atlus, this is serious, in their court documents say that they have caused and will continue to cause irreparable damage to Atlus unless restrained by this court, which to me sounds a bit over the top. It's not like millions of people were playing on this private server. I can't imagine it was like an overwhelming amount to where they're looking at this saying, well, we got to shut this down. This is getting out of hand. They're looking for full shutdown of all the servers, websites, and $25,000 per violation. So you can kind of see why Reimagine, who mostly just fans who are very passionate about this Shin Megami Tensei MMO, were like, you know what, we're good. It was fun while it lasted here, and it's very odd for Atlus West to be spending their time on this. Hey, if anything, I learned that there was a Shin Megami Tensei MMO because of this lawsuit. The other thing is people are trying to figure out online if they have any case here, that being Atlus, and all I can tell you is the people with Reimagine probably don't want to find out, because just to find out, it's going to cost them probably tens of thousands of dollars. So there you have it. Atlus and Sega saw some fans having fun with this Shin Megami Tensei MMO and wanted to shut it down. I'd like to think that there are plans for reviving this on Atlus's side officially, or maybe there's a brand new Shin Megami Tensei MMO coming up at some point in the future, because that's what we will see. A cease and desist goes out for a fan project, then like, oh, a year later, there's a game that company comes out with that's very similar to that fan project in concept anyway. But in this case, it's Atlus and Sega, so no, they're probably just suing their fans. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about E3 2023. I think most of us can look back on 2022 and admit it felt like something was missing there with no E3 at all. At least with the digital event, while they are underwhelming, brings some sort of excitement to the table, and this is one of the reasons I'm looking forward to next year, because it sounds like E3 will be back in full force. We had some details that were put out by gamesindustry.biz, which we can see here, where they say the E3 physical event will take place from Tuesday, June 13th to Friday, June 16th at the Los Angeles Convention Center. It is a business and consumer show. The first 2 days are only for business. The third day is a business consumer day, while the fourth day is purely for consumers. They also mentioned that one half of the Los Angeles Convention Center will be entirely dedicated to business, where they will have quieter, more comfortable booths with areas to connect and network and grab a coffee. The hope is to reopen the Kensha Hall, and again, this will be exclusively for business attendees, with the other half being the big spectacle that E3 is generally, where you'll have all kinds of big booths and things set up for consumers to enjoy and probably wait in line on. And I do think it's a good idea to split up the days, although that one day where both consumers and business, that'll all be there at once, might be the day to avoid. Like that fourth day for consumers is probably the one to attend there, and then on the other side, get there early for the first 2 days for business. And that way you don't just have everyone coming together for different purposes. I mean, consumers are going there for entertainment, and on the other side, you have media and developers and publishers going there for work, essentially. So it's this really weird clash of expectations from this one trade show. So I am happy to hear that E3 appears to be on for next year in full force with that in-person event that really needs to happen for E3 to have a reason to exist in the first place. We still need more details around who's going to be attending. Like, will Sony finally make their return to E3, or are they just going to skip out on it again? Because when that happened, and Nintendo, they still kind of attend E3. I mean, they're there for like their booths and their big setup, but they're not there for a live direct or showcase, nothing like that. E3 started to lose some of its luster there. So I think if ReedPop and the ESA can get Sony back on board, and then you at least have Nintendo there in some degree, and Microsoft, and you get the big three back under one roof, I think you'd have a really cool return for E3 next year. So we'll keep an eye out for more details as we get into 2023. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, will Sony have a PlayStation Showcase event in October? 72% said no, 28% said yes. We had that State of Play for Tokyo Game Show, but it was a lot of third-party stuff. And I know God of War closed things out there, but we're already, for the most part, on board with this game when it releases in November. I'm already seeing people wonder, okay, well, what's after God of War? Because we know the PlayStation VR 2 is coming up, and they still need to put a price on that and showcase a bunch more games, I assume, for launch, considering it won't be backwards compatible with the current library of PlayStation VR titles. So that, with the Silent Hill stuff and talks about Spider-Man 2 having a showing soon, I'm kind of thinking we're going to see some sort of event from Sony here soon-ish, whether that's at the end of October or sometime in November. I think definitely before the end of this year, we should see Sony start to talk a little bit. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Venom saying, I really hope all these PS5 changes go to a slim model that includes a disc reader. I have a bad feeling after seeing the rumor of an external disc reader that slim models will be the excuse to not include one internally, following the steps Xbox took with the Series S. I think this is a way to continue to condition people to not expect a disk drive in the box by default for the PlayStation. That way they can eventually get to the PlayStation 6, which 2027 or 2028, so we're ways off from that. But then you don't expect it to have a disk drive internal. It'd be a separate piece, or you know what, maybe I'm just so used to digital games now, I don't even need that. So the PS6 just doesn't have a disk drive, and they move on from physical media completely. I think that's at least the roadmap they have outlined internally, and that's kind of what we're going to see played out here. The fact that we've seen reports from Sony that their digital to physical split is like 80-20, I mean, where are we going to be 5 years from now? I'm thinking we'll be almost all digital, with old people like me occasionally still buying discs. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below, but everything we talked about here today was Silent Hill. Is it finally time for this game to get revealed and Nate to get his win? And then also, what about E3 2023? Are you excited about this event next year? And then what about Atlus suing fans for the Shin Megami Tensei MMO? Actually, let me know if you were someone who was playing this on the private servers. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.